Well, welcome, my friends, to Good Morning with Jules. Now, today in our show, I'm extremely excited because as a wife and a working mom, I have a daughter and son myself, and I'm always looking for new ways to make your life better, especially in raising children. I mean, let's face it, our children are our future. And in this research, I came across some actually amazing books that have just come out in the last year or so. Now, there's a book series, they're called Inspirational Nursery Rhymes. There's 4 different areas that I think are important to everybody, both children and adults alike. The first one is called Giving Thanks with Max. Then there's, of course, Be Responsible Like Max, Get Inspired with Max, and also Max Gives Thanks to God. Now, I'm here actually on location at Barnes & Noble today in Cupertino, California, with Todd and Jackie Courtney, who are the authors of Inspirational Nursery Rhymes. So, Todd, I have to first off, thank you so much for joining on the show today.
Oh, glad to be here.
And Jackie, so nice to meet you.
Thanks for having us.
When I first found out about your books, I thought, oh my God, what made the two of you write these books? Now, you have children yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what made you write these books.
Well, we have 3 kids. Our daughter's a sophomore in college, and we've got twin boys that are seniors now in high school. But of course, what made us write it? Actually, we were going on vacation to Park City, Utah. On the drive there, Jackie said, we should write some children's books. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't want to write any children's books. I mean, if somebody would have told me I was going to be doing nursery rhymes 10 years ago, I would have said, what have you been drinking?
Yeah.
Because, no, that just was not on my radar. I've got a business, I got a family, and so forth. But after working with some teens, I did write a book for teens, and just looking at Jackie being a teacher and seeing that our values and virtues in this country have been so badly watered down. And I was doing some research on brainwaves by a Dr. Bruce Lipton, a cellular biologist.
Interesting.
Out of the University of Wisconsin. He did some work here at Stanford locally. And I was going over and reading about the science of epigenetics and brainwaves, and I'm going, Jackie, you're right. We have to do children's books because that's where it all starts. And so that's kind of where it came about, but it wasn't something that I just dove on immediately.
Well, I have to ask you, listen, there's a lot, we're sitting here at Barnes & Noble today, right? There's a lot of nursery rhymes. What makes yours different?
Well, so I would say to the untrained eye, they're cute, cute books, great colors, great illustrations with a good message. But to the trained eye, they're positive affirmations that we've baked in the rhymes for the simplicity of memorization, so they get downloaded these messages, these positive virtues like values, the values like manners, gratitude, personal responsibility, and even God at the subconscious level, and whereby the process is scientifically proven to work. There is the huge difference. There's nothing else like it on the market, so we've kind of stumbled into something that is taking off and hopefully will go mainstream.
Well, how can parents, because I did a little research on what you're working on and what mission is, which I love. But how can parents actually possibly help to change their children's genes? I thought that was really interesting.
So it gets a little sciencey here, and please, I hope no scientists are going to call us and call us on the carpet and say he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, don't forget, we're talking to a 5th grader.
You're right.
We're talk to him, not to me. There you go.
We're just authors, just children's authors. What it is we do, in fact, can and do modify our gene expression. If you look at it, if you want to simplify it, most of us understand that stress causes cancer, right? Everybody would kind of agree.
I've read that, yeah.
That stress over time, years and years of stress causes cancer. What that does is it's the stress in our body expresses the way the gene is going to react. So what happens then, it modifies our healthy blood cells and turns those healthy ones into unhealthy blood cells, and those unhealthy ones multiply, and hence you have cancer. Now that's a very simplified, dumbed up, but the science of epigenetics has proven that our thoughts do indeed modify how our genes are going to be expressed. So if we can, and we, when we were all little, we weren't taught how to think. We were just taught go out and play, read, just the typical, teacher curriculum that the schools teach. But what our books do is now what we know through science is they instill the values and the virtues that have been so badly watered down, and through the science of epigenetics, the process of learning this is proven to work.
Okay, well, I love all that. You were going to say something, Jackie?
I was going to say that our behavior patterns are established by the age of 6. So we really have a short window to get these beliefs and from our books, the values and virtues, because of the fact that 6, that's it. So
Yeah.
what we need to do is make sure that we're reading the right books. All parents are going to have a variety of books at their home, but if we can get them to read these books, our books that have the strong belief system that these kids can grow up with, it could change the next generation in a positive way and give them that strength to know that they can and do anything throughout their lifetime.
Well, I have a lot of questions I wanted to, but something came to my mind when I was reading these, and my friends know I mean this sincerely. I was reading the books, and honestly, if I'm calm, my children are calm,
Correct.
right? Well, and even though these are meant for children, I understand that gratefulness, we all need to be grateful, right? I mean, positive thoughts, we all need positive thoughts. So
Right.
even though I'm trying to read this, I mean, my children are teenagers now, but through a mother who has children who are little, this was reminding me. And I'm thinking, what's that phrase, happy mom, happy family? Or,
Yeah.
you know what, calm mom, calm children. Isn't that
Right.
part of it?
Yeah.
Am I wrong
Absolutely.
here?
Oh,
No, you're
absolutely.
absolutely right.
Well, I know that we all live in a crazy world. So how does this actually help, prevent the negative thoughts from going on?
I would say,
Or
most-
negative conditioning, really,
Well,
is
yeah,
what you
yeah.
called it.
When you look at society on a whole, most of us just regurgitate the prior generation. So whatever we were basically
Our
taught,
parents
we
taught us.
learned by default from our parents. Where did our parents learn it? Our grandparents. Where did our grandparents learn it? Our great grandparents. So we just keep trickling it down. When you look at people on poverty level or even below the poverty line, that has only gotten worse. No one has been able to break that cycle. No one's been able to come up with anything to break the cycle. But we believe these books are the first set of tools ever created to start changing that cycle. Because if you start reading these from 0 to 6, 7-ish, in that range, consistently, these messages will be lodged at the subconscious level, and you could never get rid of them. You know, our generation, we remember all the old
The
Mother
Humpty
Goose
Dumpty.
rhymes.
Yeah,
Like Humpty Dumpty. I
Right.
could recite it.
Sure.
And
But
it's
does that
cute.
empower you?
Not
Does
really.
it inspire you?
No.
So if we have these children reading our books and having these positive affirmations memorized, they will go ahead through their young preschool years believing in themselves. And that's a stepping stone. As coming from a teacher, I would love to have all my students exposed to this and have a belief system like, school's hard, but I can do it. Or in the playground, if they have issues, you know what, I'm a good person. And like we just talked about, we have Humpty Dumpty memorized. These young kids will have, it makes no difference what other people see. The only thing that matters is what's inside of me. Or even better yet, I have the power to be big and strong, but it's smart to admit when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Those are the rhymes that we want this generation to grow up with.
Well, the other thing you mentioned earlier now, epigenetics. I know that's kind of a new thing, but a lot of people have, now for our viewers at home, kind of boil the ocean down for us. What really is it, and why have none of us heard of this?
So what you're saying is you want me to dumb it up?
Well, kind of. Exactly. I'm glad you don't know me that well, but it sounds like you do.
So epigenetics, the simple way to do it, and again, I'm not a researcher, I'm not a scientist. No, I should take that, I'm not a scientist, but I am a researcher, I do a lot of reading. But the science of epigenetics, probably in layman's terms, is where we took quantum physics and blended it with biology, and science, the medical sciences of the world, and we brought them together. In years past, those two groups of people were really far apart. You got your Albert Einsteins of the world, the crazy guys. No, keep those guys over here.
Right.
And the so-called real scientist of medicine over here. Well, in recent years, and primarily the last decade, they've really come to terms that, wait a minute, maybe there is something to this. And going back to the process that thoughts do create things.
Yeah. Right.
So that's what epigenetics is proving. Our thoughts do create what's going to happen. When we can empower these kids to believe in themselves, like Get Inspired with Max, it's in here. For that child to believe in himself, we have to do it before age 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And just by repeating. And that's why we baked these affirmations. That's what they are. Positive affirmations are just...
Baked into rhymes.
Yeah, they're positive statements said in the present tense. The reason we baked them in the rhymes is for the simplicity of memorization. So when we can get a child to believe in themselves, that carries for the rest of their life. When we get them personal responsibility, be responsible like Max, make your bed, do the dishes, clean your room. That's not just for that age bracket. It's when they get older, they carry that through as a teenager, as a young adult, as an old adult, that it's like, no. You can't use the blame game. You're responsible for your life, your life's outcome. That's the true premise of these books. And we feel we can truly make that next generation great because of it.
Well, you know what I was thinking about, once again, after I read these and talking to you know what comes to my mind? I think, therefore I am, right?
Correct.
You are
Yeah.
what you think, you
That's
do
right.
what you think, you believe what you think. And if you read, okay, propaganda, what is that? It's brainwashing. This is basically like positive reinforcement, believing who you are, right?
Right.
And you
Exactly.
read it over and over again and see, I mean, how can you not believe in yourself?
That's right.
But
Right.
but the thing is, if I had had these when my children were young, I'd probably actually be a better mother.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. And even for teachers too,
That's what
to
I-
reinforce that,
Yeah.
it would be fantastic.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is as parents, are we sabotaging our own children? Are we doing this?
Well, yes, but not on purpose. And that's where we have to be clear. And we're only doing it because we're passing down the same behavioral patterns that we were taught. So that's why we're doing it by default. And that's also why we're not doing it on purpose. The ego of us gets involved, and we kind of live by the, I know what's best. I'm smart, I know what's best. And then we start getting into my way or the highway. We've all heard that phrase, my way or the highway. Well, that's kind of how parents teach their kids. No, you do it my way because that's the way I was taught. They don't know why they do it that way.
Right.
It's just an automatic thing. So if we can get, again, if we can get all of these messages and more, because we got our next book coming out, which is Max and Molly Learn Their Manners. If we, which bring back the old-fashioned manners. If we can get these messages downloaded, then we won't be sabotaging their futures. We'll be enhancing their futures.
Well, I have to, before I brought you on the show, I thought, okay, all right, I like all these books. Now get inspired. That's really important. We should all be inspired to do or be somebody, right? Be responsible. Everyone should be responsible. Giving thanks, being grateful. Now, I did also more research, and honestly, in the nursery rhyme department, I could not find any other books that do this.
That's
So,
right.
I mean, these to me are invaluable, because I think the reason a lot of parents do the pattern over and over again is because, you know what, this is a tool.
That's right.
They don't have a tool, they don't have an instruction manual, right?
That's right.
So, I mean, once again, friends at home, the reason why I think these books are so valuable is because it's like a roadmap. It's a roadmap to teach your child how to be successful and how to have a better life, and also how to feel good about themselves and know anything's possible, right?
Absolutely.
But Jackie, I have to ask you, now you are a teacher, of course,
Right.
and the question I have for you is, do you really think you can help change children's, really we're talking about the next generation.
Absolutely, we can. The next generation is going to be great. Actually, I think they're going to be amazing because of the fact our books create a strong belief system. Therefore, it will create a better life. And if we have that strong belief system, these kids will be able to, again, have the positive affirmations memorized so that they're going to believe they can and do anything. So that when they step into school, they're going to have that belief system that, you know what, it might be challenging, but I'm going to be okay. So for me, you look at it and go, okay, you've got a lot of kids that have different books memorized, such as Goodnight Moon. They're great books, but do they inspire you? Do they enhance you? So for us, our rhymes actually empower them. So if you have that as a stepping stool, from 0 to age 6, they're going to believe in themselves so that they can move on
Do great things. and
to
be who
do
they
great
wanna be.
things. And
Right.
Correct.
Right. Well, when I was talking to you a little bit earlier, before we started the show today, I know you had mentioned that there's a lot of self-help gurus out there. I shouldn't say gurus. Self-help. Well, really, they're self-help experts like
Yeah.
Tony Robbins, with Jack Canfield. Now, you had said something interesting. You said they might be talking to the wrong generation. I'm confused.
Well, it's kind of, I guess, a little play on words there, because if it weren't for guys like, Jack Canfield with the Chicken Soup of the Soul series, Tony Robbins, and the late great Wayne Dyer, and all those that came before them, I wouldn't have been able, or Jackie and I would not have been able to create this series, because we're the recipients of all their hard work
Yeah.
and laborious work, and it is. But what I meant by the focusing on the wrong generation is because only 1 out of 10 adults ever changes their behavioral patterns, and it has to do with brain waves.
1 out of 10. Really?
1 out of 10. That's how tricky it is. I don't like to use the
Wow.
word hard, because hard is a give-up word, so I
Right.
like to use tricky.
Right.
It's very tricky to change your behavioral patterns, which is why only 1 out of 10 adults ever does.
And that's a statistic? That 1
Yes,
in 10?
yeah, that's
Wow.
a statistic, and they know that. They know
Wow.
that.
So is there hope for you still?
Well, I'm hoping. Whew, I'm hoping. Well, I'm still working on it. I got to be that 1 out of 10. I got to be that one. So with these books, because we did a lot of research on brainwaves, what we've done is we've created what have been dubbed the world's first self-help books for toddlers. No books have ever been created for this purpose and for this demographic that work in the manner of which ours work. So that's what we mean. So if we
That's
can,
why I haven't found any.
no, that's exactly right. There's nothing out
I
there.
love it.
And so if we can get the next generation, like you mentioned to Jackie earlier, creating the next great generation, which they consider what, the World War II generation to be the greatest generation ever, we can create the next great generation if, from a grassroots effort, we can get millions and millions of toddlers to read these books, get these messages downloaded, and then when they read books by Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, Wayne Dyer, and the like, it'll make it that much easier for them to enhance their lives even more.
And there won't be that 1 in 10 because there won't be a need for it.
That's exactly right.
Exactly right.
That's exactly right. Hopefully we can get it up to like 8 or 9 out of 10.
Exactly. Well, another thing you mentioned earlier, because I was so intrigued in when we were, met earlier this morning. What do you mean when you said kids walk on marshmallows?
Yes.
I mean, I wanted to ask you, but I was like, what did you mean with that? I don't know what you're talking about.
That's another play on words, because anybody who's ever knows anything about Tony Robbins or has gone to any of his UPW groups knows that he gets adults to walk on those hot 2,000 degree burning coals, which
Okay,
Jackie and
we
I have
just
done.
did.
Have you done that?
I have done that. I have
Okay.
to tell you.
Yeah.
Incredible, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible. And the purpose of doing that is to get us over our fears. And it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
However, if we can get all the infants and all the toddlers to read these books and download these messages, they'll be walking on the marshmallows of life. So they will never have to worry about fear.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good little play on words.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
job. Well, the other thing is you talk about, Jackie, you've mentioned this too, both of you have, that we can, both of you really believe we can create children who will become lifelong learners. Is that an attainable goal, really, Todd?
Yeah, and it is because when we learn,
And a better question, how will your books help do that? I guess that's what I'm really asking.
it's because the child is going to grow up. Again, let's take somebody who's read these, whose mother's read them to them from infancy and throughout. That child is going to go believing in themselves. You get inspired with Max. That teaches the child to believe in themselves. And then when they learn personal responsibility and they learn the power of gratitude, and you can kind of intertwine the values in these books in biblical texts with virtually every religion around the world as well. So if you think about teenagers, why do teenagers get into trouble? Well, because they don't feel too smart. When they don't feel too smart, then they don't want to learn anymore. They start throwing around phrases. Every parent's heard this. Oh, this is stupid. I don't need to know that. I don't need to know this. That's stupid. This is stupid. And then at that point, we've lost them. So by creating and instilling them the positivity within themselves and they believe in themselves, they'll want to learn more. It's exciting to learn more. So that's how they'll become lifelong learners.
Well, okay, that sounds good to me, and I believe in that. But Jackie, let me tell you this: how can we really? Okay, let me back up for a second. So with my kids being in high school and college, it's always about the AP classes, higher GPA.
Right.
I mean, it just never ends. And sometimes I think that creates an anxiety in the child because it's like unattainable goals. How do these books, you believe, will help our children become successful? Do you know what I'm trying?
Right, no,
without
I
being
understand what you're
crazy.
saying. So if you start off reading them when, from ideally infancy.
Yeah, let's
to
put them on the
ages-
fast track to success easier.
Okay, so if you start by reading our books from infancy to age 6, you're going to, again, go back to having that strong core of beliefs. So you move on in your elementary years, and you're now in second grade. If you were read these books, you're going to believe in yourself. And trust me, being when I was a third grade teacher for years, I had those kids that doubted themselves. They felt like, I can't do it, I can't do it. It's very hard for a teacher to try to break that. I mean, you only get them for 7 months inside your classroom. You do everything you can in those hours. But if you have those kids that have been read these books, if they believe it, they're going to come into your classroom strong, be willing to, yes, face challenges, but that's, for us, our goal is to be able to have millions and millions of toddlers have read these books, have that strength, so that when they do go to school and they're in second, third grade, they're going to feel empowered, and that'll carry on through elementary school or middle school. Actually, when they start getting backstabbed by their friends, and
Right.
they have bullying issues or just learning itself. I mean, academically, everything's so much harder nowadays. You want to instill that it's hard, but you can do it.
Well, I think self-esteem and belief in yourself does breed success for sure. But Todd, if our children were to read only these books, would that actually help them, or as their primary read, would that help them build success faster, really?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would never suggest anybody only read one genre of book. As with any library, right now we're in a bookstore. There's tons of different books. And if you think about any intelligent person you've ever met, be it a professor or just somebody in the business world, or just somebody just well-rounded, it's because they've read so many books on so many different topics, and they're so well read that they understand, even if they don't believe in something, but they've read subject matter on it, then at least they can articulate why they don't believe this or why they do believe that. So we would never say only read these. We would say add them to your library.
Yeah.
And if you do that, then you can just blend the mix of these books. But at least these will teach the values that every parent wants to know, their kids to learn, and grandparents.
And when they're young, infants,
Yeah.
because you read books over and over again to your child. They're
Right.
gonna have them memorized. So why not have them memorize amazing values and virtues that will be, like Todd said, lodged in their subconscious mind.
Well, Todd, which do you think is the most valuable out of all your books?
I guess I think the way I would answer this is the same way Jack Canfield answered a similar question posed by Oprah. And how he answered it was, and I'll ask you the question back, if you could only keep one body organ, and only one, which one would you choose?
My heart.
Okay, your heart, your brain, the heart's actually probably the most popular answer. And that's great, the heart's wonderful. However, the rest of the body still will not be able to function without all the other organs,
Right.
which really renders the heart useless.
Right.
So metaphorically, what it means is, by just choosing one, what you're saying is you're not concerned about all the other values and virtues that come with the other books. So what we've done, we're creating an ongoing series. These are just the first 5 books. And we plan on at a minimum of 15. We'll just keep making them as long as parents keep telling us and giving us other topics to make.
Right. Well, once again, I think as a mother, what's so important is we can't do it all on our own, right? The other thing that I want to make very clear that's important to me is there's a lot of parents that are single parents, and it's hard to raise a child by yourself, or if you've got 2 or 3 jobs or whatever. So this to me is the missing tool that I believe every parent, grandparent, teacher
Absolutely.
really needs, and I find them really invaluable. Now, Todd, where and Jackie, where can people get these books? I mean, we're at Barnes & Noble today, but I know, and you're going all across the country.
Yeah.
Because you're really on a mission. I mean, you really believe in this.
Yeah, in 2016, we spent all 2016 as I'll call beta testing the books to see, okay, do consumers want these books? And in that time frame, we were self-published. Basically sold out of the back of our car. We've sold thousands of units. We've broken multiple records at many, many stores. Some stores have their best book sales just because of our books. So we know we're on to something. Now we got picked up by a publisher. It goes mainstream. It'll be distributed early 2017. And now the books, they'll be at Barnes & Noble, they'll be online, at Amazon. We're in now 23 different states and growing rapidly.
So if I just go to Amazon, for right now, if
Yeah.
I'm not near Barnes, I can just go to Amazon and look up Inspirational Nursery Rhymes?
That's exactly
Correct.
right.
And there's 4 right now?
There's 5 books right now.
5 books right
Yeah.
now. Okay, well, so great to have you on the show today. I so appreciate it. And once again, thanks for joining us on Morning with Jules today. And we'll be back next time with a lot of more tips to make your life better and to really help make the world a better place to live. Thanks for joining us.